Our first reading this morning is from Habakkuk, chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. I will stand at my watch post and station myself on the rampart. I will keep watch to see what he will say to me and what he will answer concerning my complaint. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision. Make it plain on tablets, so that a runner may read it. For there is still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Look at the proud. Their spirit is not right in them, but the righteous live by their faith. Moreover, wealth is treacherous. The arrogant do not endure. They open their throats wide as Sheol. Like death, they never have enough. They gather all nations for themselves and collect all peoples as their own.
You might be expecting a Christmas reading, but that is not at all where we are. Our first 2 weeks of Advent pull us far away from that story and into a time of wakefulness and watchfulness. From Habakkuk, we heard that we shall stand on our rampart and watch, and now we are in the Gospel of Luke, and this is very late in Jesus' time with his disciples. He has made it to Jerusalem. It is after Palm Sunday, and the writing is on the wall, at least for Jesus, as to what will happen soon. And so he begins to prepare his disciples for what to do when he is gone. Listen now for the word of God to you. There will be signs in the sun and moon, and the stars, and on the earth distress among nations confused by the roaring of the sea and the waves. People will faint from fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Then he told them a parable. Look at the fig tree and all the trees. As soon as they sprout leaves, you can see for yourselves and know that summer is already near. So also when you see these things taking place, you know that the kingdom of God is near. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Be on guard, so that your hearts are not weighed down with dissipation and drunkenness and the worries of this life, and that they catch you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all who live on the face of the whole earth. Be alert at all times, praying that you may have the strength to escape all these things that will take place, and to stand before the Son of Man. This is the word of the Lord. When I was a kid, I used to go to Boy Scout camp. And one time I remember I was at Boy Scout camp, and the whole of us were moving from one place to another, and I stopped to tie my shoes or poke something with a stick or something like that, and I found myself in the last group of people out of the whole group, and none of them were using their lights. And I had my flashlight, and they said to me, hey, cut that light off. We're using night vision. And I said, night vision? And they explained to me that when you don't use your light, when you walk in the dark for a long enough time, your eyes start to adjust. And even though you aren't using your flashlight, you can see so much more than you otherwise could. Instead of depending on a small circle a few feet in front of you, you adjust the way that you're seeing. And you can see what's in front of you, but also what's around you. Now that has stuck with me all of my life. I love flashlights. I love buying flashlights, and I won't stop. Sorry, Hannah. then when I go out into the woods or camping or even, just like working, doing something in the trunk before I load up or I unload the house, I don't like to use my night light. I like to use night vision. Because when you let your eyes adjust to the dark, you find out how much light there really is. You'd be surprised. Even in the darkest night, there is light enough to get by. When you learn to use your night vision, you don't become dependent on some light source. You realize how much light there really is in the world, how much light is reflected from the stars and the moon and the street light 180 miles away, and all over the world, that there is, even in the darkest night, enough light to get by. When I'm walking with a flashlight, I can only see what's staring me right in the face. But when I turn off that light, when I let my eyes adjust, when I look out of the corner of my eye, I'm able to see so much more in my world. Advent is about what we do in the dark. If you've been waiting all year for this season and you're finally excited to put on some Bing Crosby and belt out Joy to the World with the radio, the text that we have to read for this Sunday and for next Sunday can be a little bit jarring. Commercially, we've been in Christmas season for a month, right? But for the first 2 weeks of Advent, we're getting ready. We're preparing. We're making space in our lives for the coming of Christ. I'm having trouble with my iPad. That time of preparation and space and coming is about what we do in the dark, what we do when there is no light to see by, what we do when we're waiting in the darkness. And Habakkuk knows all about what it's like to be waiting in the darkness. So, if you're a Presbyterian minister, you know Habakkuk. I for a very long time, only knew Habakkuk because of one little verse. They make you take a test. They make you take a series of tests to become a minister. And one of the tests is on the content of the Bible. And in that test, they ask you to, they give you a passage, and it's multiple choice, name the book and the chapter. And you learn, if you're paying attention, that they only ask you about passages that are big in Reformation history, so you can start to shortcut things a little bit. And in Habakkuk, you can shortcut things better than anything else, because it's not a long book. And there's really only one verse that they ever ask you about in the exam. It is, "But the righteous shall live by faith." That's the one verse. And so if it says, "But the righteous shall live by faith," it's Habakkuk, and nothing else is. And any Presbyterian minister knows that verse if they don't know any others. But what does it mean? What does it mean for the righteous should live by faith? It means learning to see in the dark. It means finding out how to use your night vision. Habakkuk is a story about learning to see in the dark. Habakkuk begins with this complaint to God from Habakkuk. He says, "Why? How long? How long do I have to watch the wicked prosper? How long do I have to see injustice prevail?" And God answers quickly. I wish God answered me this quickly. By verse 4, God says, "Don't worry about it. I've got this. Look, I'm raising up the Babylonians." And Habakkuk says, "Hooray! Wait, the Babylonians? God, they're even worse. What is this? They're even less righteous than the people who are in power right now." And God says, do not worry. Justice will prevail. The light will shine. You need only wait. The righteous shall live by faith. And Habakkuk says, "I will stand at my rampart." That's why people say Habakkuk was a watchman on the walls of Jerusalem. "I will stand at my rampart and watch for the coming of the day of the Lord." And Habakkuk does not end with some sort of beautiful answer for God. Instead, at the end of the book, Habakkuk is still waiting. But even while he is still waiting, Habakkuk gives this incredible assertion of faith in the midst of it. He says, though the fig tree does not blossom, and no fruit is on the vine, though the olive crop fails and there's no food, though the herd is not found in the stalls, still I will rejoice. For God is the light of my salvation. He makes my feet like the deer to tread upon the high places. Even though the light is far away, Habakkuk keeps straining his eyes towards the horizon. And even though he sees no light coming, still he expresses his confidence in God, because the light of the world is coming soon. The peace of Christ is coming soon, and he holds that the righteous shall live by faith. That's what this season is about. It's about learning to live by faith. It's about finding out how to see in the dark. Our night vision. Straining to see the light that is all around us, even when there is no great light, no incredible light coming across the horizon, even when there is no peace. What we are called to do this Advent is to find a way to see light even in those dark places. Because even in the darkest places, there is enough light to see. Even in the darkest nights, we can still get by. When you're recovering from surgery, it can be incredibly difficult and overwhelming to feel like you haven't made any progress. But look out the corner of your eye. Can you bend that joint just a degree more than you could before? Is there something that you could do that you couldn't do last week? Can you take a step? Can you eat a meal? Can you stand up? Can you lift up your head? What are those tiny, tiny things? Those tiny lights that help you to see. When you're caring for somebody who's ill, who's sick, who has a degenerative disease, it can be scary, it can be overwhelming. But how do they say thank you, even when they don't have the words? What is the life of love that you have shared with this person that gives you the strength to give and give and give even when they cannot say thank you? What are the memories that you hold that you are thankful for? Can you say thank you? When you're fighting against the bureaucracy to try to do what your kid needs, to try to get what your kid needs, it can be too much. It can be frustrating, it can be agonizing, it can be outraging, but pay attention to the little lights that you would not otherwise see. Are there tiny gains in development and growth and strength? Are there people who in this faceless bureaucracy have found a way to show love to you? Are there friends who have shown up for you even when it is hard? Is there a strength growing in you that you would not otherwise have that will transform your life into a life filled with grace and peace and hopefulness? National politics may overwhelm you. You might be depressed by what you see on the news all the time, but pay attention to those tiny things. Look out of the corner of your eye. Are there places where God's justice reigns? Are there communities where people care for each other? Are there people who sacrifice for each other? Are there people who fight the good fight even though they might lose and find joy and peace in the work together? This isn't really optimism. Optimism is nice. Christians make good optimists, but night vision is about seeing in the dark. Optimism is about looking at the gray sky and saying, it must be sunrise, right? But that's not what this is. This is what Christians have always done, what Christians have always had to do. It is to look at an innocent man crucified on a cross and say, evil is overthrown today. It is to trust in God. That even at the darkest moments, God's purposes are being accomplished and will be accomplished. And the coming vision that we have been promised will be ours. Advent is about holding hands in the dark. The light may be far off. The light you might even doubt that it will ever come, but the warmth of the person next to you is not. And there is light, and there is peace, and there is comfort in that. Habakkuk is for anybody who is tired of fighting injustice and losing. Habakkuk is for anybody who has been praying for peace and joy to come into the world, and who has been constantly disappointed by the world's cruelty and frustration. Habakkuk is for those whose lives have been torn apart by poverty, by adultery, by cruelty, by hatred, by human sinfulness, and are yearning for some way to put things back together. And Habakkuk's proclamation to us is to wait in hope. Strain your eyes to see, stand at your rampart and watch. Look out of the corner of your eyes for those tiny little bits of light. And let your faith guide you through the darkness. And if we can do that, if we can strengthen our hope muscle, if we can learn to see in the dark, if we can keep our eyes on the horizon, watching and waiting for the coming of the Lord, then we will be among the first to see that incredible thing that is coming for us. The dawn from on high that breaks into the world and guides our feet into the ways of peace. We who have walked in darkness will see a great light. And they will call him Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost.